Gentleman there, very good.
Okay.
I call that left
Hello,
field.
friend, how are you?
I think, like this? Okay,
No, this way, this, right here.
okay. What I think we're missing is a strong man. A person like Lyndon Johnson. Okay, a person like Lyndon Johnson is what we're missing. Somebody who can get things done in Washington in spite of all the baloney that's going on. And somebody who, we have an absence of somebody who can get things done. We're at a stalemate. Now, there's a lot of things you're saying. One of the biggest problems we have is that other countries can make goods cheaper than we can. So that's a bad thing to begin with. And I think that we keep saying, every time you listen to these conversations, it's the same thing all over again. We should do this, we should do that, we could, and we all know it should be done, but it's not getting done. And look, the last thing I would want in this world is a dictator. But look at China. China is a dictatorship. But when they want something to improve their country, they don't go through all the machinations that we have. And they do it because nobody can stop them. So the biggest problem we have is that we don't have the cheapest situation. We don't have a World War II where we're the only ones left. We are an empire that's starting to stagnate just like the English Empire did. And where it goes, the only thing I can think of is a strong man who has convictions like a lot of us do that can get things done. And that's our biggest problem.
Well, fortunately and unfortunately, you're correct. Fortunately, we don't have that because that's not a democracy. And the most efficient, in a way, societies are where you have dictators who can do that. And we saw that in the Olympics in China and so forth. In days, they did something that we would argue months to do. The point is, then we lose the flavor and the actually essence of who we are, okay? Democracy doesn't permit a strong man of that kind, and that smacks of McCarthyism and Giuliani at one point that wanted to take over everything and dictate things. The point is, that's very hard to stomach in this American society. We have to come up with democratic or small d kinds of solutions. Democracies are sloppy. Democracies are inefficient because you have everybody saying, I want my way. I'm going to do it this way. I want to start a business. I want to go move here. I want to do this. I want to do that. It's not permitted in China, okay? But it is starting to be permitted in China because the middle class are making demands in China, and they will have big problems in China, okay? You say the government, they had a major train crash this week with their high-speed rail, which is unbelievably great. But they're finding out now that the government said this, and they did away with some of the safety measures that we would never have permitted to build that thing without. And so therefore, the government says this and that, and the government says, well, you lose your head if you don't get that finished on time. Well, so they had a major crash, and they're now questioning their high-speed rail program, all right? The point is that we have to solve our problem in the 21st century, knowing that the rest of the world wants to be like us to a great extent. A lot of people still want to come here. We're still known for the ability for people to start low and build up high. All you have to do is go to New York City, and you see that the Indians started in the subways with their kiosks selling this, that, and the other, as did the Koreans with their small food stores and so forth. And many of them have prospered doing that. Or they buy a Dunkin' Donuts and work slave away at it 24 hours a day, and all of a sudden they own 3 of them, all right? The immigrants have had that drive that we would like the rest of our population to have. And all immigrant societies have always had that. The Jews had it, the Irish had it, the Italians had it. Now it's the Chinese, the Koreans, the Indians, they have that drive. And they're the people we should learn from that, okay? The population should learn from that. But again, there are so many things. We are in competition with the world. They want us to be like us, all right? We have many universities in this country that have satellites all over the world. And I'm sure you're aware of the NYU thing in Dubai or the Arab Emirates, where they gave billions of dollars to build an NYU campus. And they fly professors back and forth, okay? But that's happening all over the world, not just in Dubai and the Arab Emirates. All over the world, hundreds of American universities have hundreds of satellite universities. They want an American-style education. And they educate people, and they learn things, and what are they supposed to do with it? They build factories, and they run robots and invent things. That's what we're supposed to be doing, right? Well, we're not doing enough of it. We don't do enough of it. Our priorities haven't been the same as our predecessors have been. Yes, sir.
Wait, brought it back. Excuse me, the troops are being brought back here to the United States.
Yes.
Which is, I feel, is rightfully so.
Yes.
Okay? We have an unemployment problem. After the Second World War, Truman instituted a situation of 52-20. We were able to get, for 52 weeks, we were able to get $20 to adjust ourselves to the community when we got back. Plus the fact that we were able to go to any university, and our fees were paid at the university, which took us off the unemployment rolls, and it put us in a productive position.
Correct.
Now, the same thing has to, if they come back, the situation here will be outlandish. We have to settle something when they come back for them to, and they don't want to give the veterans any, I'm talking about the Republican parties, they don't want to give the veterans anything.
We're running short of time.
Okay.
Let me just say this, that the Second World War, not only did we gear up and work together, but together, we saved Europe with the Marshall Plan. We saved Japan with writing their constitution, and there were Democrats involved and there were Republicans. Marshall, MacArthur, Truman. We, as a country, really saved the world from domination by Germany and by Japan, but we saved generations of people from being slaughtered in Europe with the Marshall Plan and turning totally communist for that matter, and being potentially with a war with us at some point, and also with Japan with writing their constitution. We freed a lot of people in this world to be productive and part of a democratic world. All I'm saying is it took imagination, courage, and Democrats and Republicans working together to resolve, first of all, win the war, but then win the peace afterwards by doing what we did, Republicans and Democrats. Is it possible? I leave that question up to you, and we'll see what happens in the next few days, because August 2nd, we may be in a different state of war. So we have revolutions, we've had them from centuries, all kinds. Let's just hope we're not headed in something as dire as that, because there's also the theory, which I may or may not have discussed here before, of unintended consequences. And who knows what's going to happen if things don't go as they should go. Thank you very much for coming tonight. Thank you.